All right. Good evening, everyone. This is the All About Nothing podcast, kind of daily show. I am Barrett Gruber, host of the All About Nothing podcast with Zach King. This is Bill Kimler, host of Black, White, and Blue in the South with Dr. Jamil Brooks. Good evening, everyone. Welcome.
Hey, how you doing, Barrett? You want to know what I read while I'm waiting for you to bring me on?
Please let me know.
Can you see what that says, or is it backwards in your view?
No, it's correct. That's Stephen King's The Complete Concordance. No, what is part of the words cut off?
You got it, the Concordance.
Yeah, the Concordance. Very nice. Is that all 7 books?
Of the Dark Tower. So this is an encyclopedia of the Dark Tower series. So you can have this handy while you're going through Stephen King's epic masterpiece, The Dark Tower.
It is a fantastic series. It
is amazing.
Absolutely an amazing series. Dark Tower, the drawing of the 3. I mean, it's fantastic.
You've got your cred. You've named 2 of the 7. Actually, it's 8 books.
Is it 8 full books?
Well, after the 7th book and his final book, The Dark Tower, was completed, he came out a few years later with A Wind in the Keyhole.
Yes.
And it was like 3 novellas about kind of revisiting that world. So that's the 8th.
You're right.
It's canon, but it's not part of the main 7 saga.
Yeah,
novels.
I was really hoping that there was going to be a like an actual like TV series to go along with it, and ultimately just kind of like, you know,
it's coming. It's coming.
Good. Under the Dome. Like, I was excited to have a series about Under the Dome, and then when it deviated from the actual story, I was perfectly fine with that, because I was happy to have a basically a brand new telling of the story. I thought that was cool. So,
well, I'm sorry, that series sucked after they got out of the I never actually watched the 3rd season because the 2nd season was so miserably done. I couldn't bring myself to even care anymore. One of these days, I need to go into a deep dive with you about my alter ego, which is my Stephen King journey and my Stephen King world, which is a completely separate parallel life that I don't think you know but a scratch of it.
Only a scratch. I was. Is it similar to like when Chris Gaines came out of Garth Brooks? Is this the same?
I don't know anything. I don't know anything. You know, it's still me and part of my personality. I'm not that crazy. But every day there is dedicated time spent on Stephen King's works.
Okay.
Every day.
Yeah.
And I've got a website. I've got 2 social media accounts I maintain. And a library that would blow your mind.
Interesting.
As to how my fandom got started. I'm ending my 3rd year, so next year will be year number 4 in this quest of mine.
I started reading Stephen King when I was 7 years old, and it was the first Stephen King that I had ever read. Then Misery and Dolores Claiborne, and like, just continued Gunslinger, and then Two Tower, or it was a long. I have not gotten back into reading Stephen King just because I wind up picking up. I don't have it here, but I wind up picking these books up that are by editorialists or whatever that write for like the Wall Street Journal and stuff.
You stop reading for fun. Now everything's about the real world.
That's correct.
No, I was like you as a kid. First one was Night Shift that a librarian gave me in 5th grade. And, collection of short stories. And they just blew me away. I barely understood half of what I was reading, but I knew it was good. And then the librarian gave me The Shining to read.
Oh, yeah.
And again, grown-up book, but I knew it was creepy. And then from that day on, I remember the day it came out. I was in 8th grade. It was the summer after 8th grade. And we rode our bikes to the mall, waiting for Walden Books to open, where you can see behind the gates the stack of Stephen King's It. And me and my buddies got there, bought the first copies, and spent the next 3 days and just ripped through it. That's all we did as 8th grade kids. It was a glorious time.
The copy of it that I got came from the Book Nook, which is still on North Druid Hills Road near Claremont in Decatur. And the Book Nook is still there. Like, it's obviously been cleaned a couple of times since the last time I was in there, but it's still a really cool place to be.
So I had read all of his books up through about college. I kind of got away from it. I would dive into one here and there, but kind of like you, I kind of fell off by the wayside.
Yeah.
Got back into it a little bit. Then when I turned 50, I was like, oh shit, time for a midlife crisis. What's it going to be? And I decided what I'm going to do, and I have done, is I was going to revisit one of the most cherished parts of my childhood, and that was the Stephen King books.
Yeah.
So I made it a quest where I was going to read every one of his books in publication date for the most part. And not only read the books, but watch every one of the movies, and then watch every TV series, and listen to every podcast and every other little, like, consuming nonstop everything Stephen King. And so I'm in my 4th year, and I've gone through about 9 books at this point.
Okay.
But you got to understand, like, there were 12 movies of Children of the Corn.
Oh God. Yeah.
And I had to watch them all. I watched them all.
I assume you have not worked your way up to Dreamcatcher yet.
I have not. I know I've read the book and I've seen the movie already when it came out.
Okay.
And I have very little memory of it except for something called Shit Weasels. I remember that. So aside from being a book about shit weasels, I really don't remember. And that was the other thing. I ran through these books so fast that I raced through them and retained nothing of what I had read.
Sure.
So I could say, yeah, I had read Christine. It's about a car. And that's all I remember. So going through this again in a slower, deliberate pace, live blogging while I'm doing it, live tweeting while I'm doing it, listening to the podcast, interacting with the hosts. It's been an amazing experience. And it's a highlight of being alive. So at this rate, I'm tracking my journey. I should complete somewhere around the year 2035. And that's assuming he writes no new books, which
I got
of
bad
course
news. He's still writing.
I know. He's got a 3rd Talisman book coming out next year.
Yeah.
And I can't wait.
Yeah.
So right now I'm in the middle of the Dark Tower. So that's why I had that concordance handy.
Yeah, his short stories turn out some of his best work. I mean, and then the movies that are made from his short stories. I mean, I guess Needful Things wasn't a short story, but I always loved the movie Needful Things. Ed Harris was in that. The book was fantastic. What was the Insomnia? Insomnia is the one book that I think would be fantastic as a movie, and I wish that they would make that one.
I agree. I think there's another one. His best work in the last 25 years is a book called Revival.
Yep.
And I remember getting through that book and just saying, boy, this is Stephen King at a level that he hasn't been at in years and hasn't reached since. That would make an amazing movie, and I'm surprised it hasn't yet.
Yeah, I agree. Real quick, I want to remind everybody, SoulHAUS Sessions with Priest Jacobs coming up October 22nd at the Koger Center for the Arts. Doors open at 5 o'clock. Special guests are going to include a bunch of the people that were involved in the original hip-hop Comic-Con here in Columbia called Colicon. Artwork is going to be on display from Dan Lish. I do have to make a correction because several times I said that Dan Lish was coming over from the UK for this.
That's what I thought. I was like, how cool is that? You're getting somebody to fly across the ocean to come to South Carolina. He's not, huh?
I was wrong. Dan Lish's artwork is going to be on display at the Koger Center for the SoulHAUS section of the Koger Center.
So he's still in the UK. He's just not going to be here in person.
Yeah, he's not going to be here. But tickets still are available.
I think you're on the hook to buy his flight now. Now you have to arrange his travel. You're on the hook.
You know what? Can we pretend like that's not we haven't said anything about it and just move on?
You're making buku money off of us nothingers, man. I know that. You have plenty in your pocket.
Tickets available at Eventbrite. You can check the show notes so you can follow Preach Jacobs at Preach Jacobs on the Instagram.
Will Preach Jacobs be there? Let's double check this fact.
Preach Jacobs is definitely going to be there.
Okay, good. There
isn't an issue with that. That is not a problem. He's going to be there.
Yeah, I can't trust anything Barrett says nowadays.
That's not always fact check me. Always look it up.
Hey, I need a little therapy from you.
Sure.
I need to be told it's okay if I don't release an episode on Wednesday on time like I normally would.
It is perfectly okay if you do not release an episode on Wednesday. And I
scheduled to, supposed to, and have it recorded, but have not had a single blessed moment to sit down at the computer and do any editing. And tomorrow's not going to be any better.
I look, the big media empire will be okay only because Preach Jacobs has an episode that it releases on Wednesday. As well, I am sure that Heather and Tamara will be releasing an episode of the Awakening podcast on Wednesday. So, if yours comes out Thursday, I think we're okay.
Good, they got me
I think we'll be
covered.
okay.
And I don't even know if Thursday's possible at this point. This is just nuts. And it's the favorite thing I love to do. Like,
Yeah.
I will procrastinate everything else in favor of this podcast. But every time I sit down to do it, I'm interrupted. Just can't get to it.
Zach and I recorded an episode on Sunday with an author that it was an interesting conversation. He was based on all of the evidence that I had about him and the book that he wrote. I had this belief that we were going to have this guy on that was just a full-on Donald Trump supporter. So I was kind of hoping for that conversation, but it wasn't. He's just sort of your traditional Republican that doesn't like a lot of what he sees as far as Donald Trump. And but he still considers himself to be a Republican. Now, we didn't get into who he voted for, because I know where.
Why would you ask the question everybody wants to know the answer to? I mean, what as a podcaster, why would you go there?
I you know what? Out of respect for the fact that we drug this guy out of bed.
The fact that is that he emailed you to get on the show. Let's be honest. You didn't drag anybody.
He did email us, but that episode will release on Monday. But I've done all the editing for it, as with respect to the interview portion of it, but I haven't done all of the post production work to it, which I'll be honest with the All About Nothing podcast. There's not a whole lot of production, post production that goes into it.
See that I tell you, for every minute of our show we record, there's about 3 or 4 minutes of post production I do.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It's a lengthy process.
That is incredible.
And I'm sure it makes no difference in the final output. It's just how I operate, and
but
there's nothing I can do about it.
It's the same with me and Welcome to Wonderland. You all produce something that ultimately you want to be a reflection of your skills and the level, the bar that you
wish I could just shovel the slop that you and Zach do on a regular basis. And you'd have a lot more. Like, I wish I can get to 270 some episodes of utter shit. That would be great. But I can't do it. So that's why we're still in our 70s.
Well, and and that's when the shit that we shovel winds up being miscues or forgetfulness on things like the fact that Lawrence Taylor is.
Oh my gosh, I was going to bring that up. I'm sitting there listening to your show, and you're talking about the pedophile world and sex offenders and all of that, and then you bring up the children's presidential fitness program where he had Lawrence freaking sex offender Taylor on as one of the children foundational funds there, and you didn't. It was like the volleyball was there hovering at the perfect place to spike it, and you let it hit you in the face. I was like, I was screaming through the phone.
For the life of me, I remembered that Lawrence Taylor was not a good person. Like, I could remember, I remember.
What do you think, he had traffic tickets? I mean, what did you think he did?
Well, I think between Zach and I, we kind of bounced it back and forth. Was he a murderer? Was he,
You know what? I can excuse because you just don't know better. Zach
Right.
is the one I'm more disappointed in. He's the guy that should have known. He's got his pulse on what's happening in the world.
Yeah.
And the fact that he didn't say anything, that's on him.
Zach's completely at fault. And to let that slide, I think that our text message chain that may still exist on your phone, you should just rant, just let him have it, because that's where it belongs, in the text message chain directed right at Zach. But yeah, New York Giants former linebacker Lawrence Taylor, LT if you're nasty, registered sex offender, is now part of the President Trump's Fitness Council for Children.
I'm glad. You know what? I should have made you do a research paper on the subject. That's like your punishment. Now you have to go.
ChatGPT would have come in handy for that one. How many paragraphs?
Hey, I appreciated the call out to my ChatGPT experience on your last show about being in the alternate timeline as the explanation for what happened.
Yeah.
ChatGPT thought Biden is currently president. And then I have the screenshots to show it.
Yeah. And I have more evidence into why I think that we are in some sort of it, or we have alternate timelines or multiverses that are just kind of merging. And I want to bring up specifically Donald Trump's message that he posted on the 12th, which was, yesterday. Well, it was technically yesterday. It was, as you can see on the screen, 12:38 a.m. Sunday morning, where he said the Biden FBI placed 274 agents into the crowd on January 6th If this is so, which it is, a lot of very good people will be owed big apologies. What a scam. Do something, President DJT. It is important to note that on January 6, 2021, Donald Trump was still president.
Wait, do you think that might have been a direct message he thought he was sending to Pam Bondi or to Kash Patel? That has the makings of a DM. Do something, right?
Yeah, I hadn't given that consideration. But hear me out. What if we have multiverses like just kind of like blurring and the lines just getting crossed? What if in the reality that Donald Trump lives in, Biden was president on January 6th? And no, you're making a face like this is just not.
No, I'm thinking, I'm dwelling on it.
But what if Donald Trump isn't dementiated? What if his brain cells aren't literally stabbing each other right now? And he is of the belief of these things because they are true in the multiverse that he exists in, that this Donald Trump that we have exists in. And it's just kind of like we get occasional, little signs that there is still
here's another sign
connection.
Well, here's a sign that we're in that multiverse. You had Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, saying that it was Republicans who are for affordable health care and they're doing everything they can. So that made me question everything I know. Who are we? Where are we?
Feeling. It's an uncomfortable feeling. And
how are we?
What if in this other parallel universe, day 13 of the current government shutdown is actually the fault of the Democrats? What if we are existing in a timeline that is
this is Schumer's shutdown, right? He unilaterally said, shut it down.
He did
by himself. Yeah.
And
there's nothing the Republicans can do about it, right?
No.
Nothing. They're helpless. They're just sitting on the sidelines going, oh, we wish we could get back into session.
There was, I believe that there is a vote in the Senate that's supposed to come up again tomorrow to potentially bring the clean bill to the floor, but there is no plan for any sort of discussion or debate on the bill. That the Republican majority leader, who I don't know his name because he's not Mitch McConnell, is
John Thune.
Thune, that's it. Yeah, he's just planning on shoving the bill back down to see if they'll get any more Democrat votes.
I mean, meanwhile, Mike Johnson wants to get back to work so he can release the Epstein files. You hear him saying he's been trying to do it every day, but he can't because, government shut down. What can he do? He's helpless.
And the Speaker of the House has no ability to call the rest of the representatives back to work. Like he can't send out.
When the government shut down, the gavel doesn't work.
Right.
The gavels, they take that away because they're not paying for it. So
they're using the Amazon Basic batteries in the gavel, and it it's just muted clicks. Is all.
Nothing he can do. He's helpless.
I am dumbfounded by Mike Johnson when he discusses in front of the press, because he apparently, I guess, is still in Washington. Because let's be honest, Shreveport, Louisiana is not a place that I want to be at this time of year. Not because Shreveport isn't a beautiful place to live, but it's still suffering from its third summer of the year, and mosquitoes are like that big. But the fact that Mike Johnson's hanging out in Washington, D.C. with almost none of his Republican cohorts around him, except for the few that'll line up behind him. The questions about the Epstein files, why won't they swear in this representative from Arizona? It just constant deflections, and it's entertaining because any question about Epstein is turned around to being, well, why aren't the Democrats coming back? Why won't you haven't called them back? What are they? This continuing resolution on. I guess I don't know what it is. It's not really a budget because we haven't had a budget in since Biden's second term or second year.
I see we're in that timeline again. Biden's second term.
Yeah.
Remember that when he balanced the budget in his second term? That was a good year.
No, Mike Johnson, if if they call Congress back if they call the representatives back, if he has the representatives come back, then the first thing he has to do is swear in the Arizona representative that was elected in the special election, which means that she can then be the 218th vote or signature on this petition that will ultimately release all of the potential grand jury testimony where they heard from witnesses and victims and things like that, where names were named.
So he's delaying and the inevitable.
Yeah.
What do you think they're doing with the time that they've just bought themselves by this delay? So he's every day. What are they doing with it?
I can tell you this. I know they are not holding town halls here because Joe Wilson has not held a town hall in, I don't know. It's been 4 years now, 4 or 5 years. We haven't had a town hall from Joe Wilson. And you would think that take that opportunity, go back to your, and it's heavily.
No, I don't mean like, what are the other Congress people doing? I mean, they're delaying this release of the Epstein files. What are they doing to protect Trump with this delay? Like, why not just rip the Band-Aid off and get it over with?
Agreed.
Are they doing something in the background, do you think, to build up his defense? Because these files are coming out. Yeah. So what are they doing, do you think, with all this extra time?
I don't think there is a defense to be had. I think that the likelihood is that that potentially maybe they'll find something that is a big enough distraction that when they do get released, and they will, that it will be a situation where we as citizens, they assume we will say, it doesn't matter that he's in the Epstein files. We need Donald Trump. And I mean, I threw up a little bit in my mouth when I said that, but I think that their hope is that something like Israel and a peace accord in between Israel and Palestine. I think that there's the idea that maybe that is a distraction enough. The idea that now we are opening up in Idaho an air base.
You want to talk about that?
I don't know a whole lot about it, except that it just sounds weird.
No, it's not as weird as I think it sounds. I'll say that their messaging was awful, or the reporting wasn't all that great. But basically, as part of this arrangement with Qatar, where Trump got the plane, and then the United States then was able to sell the Qatari Air Force some planes.
Okay.
And so what they've done is struck a deal that the Qataris could send their Air Force pilots to the U.S. to get trained on how to use these planes. Okay. So they picked an air base in Idaho, and they're going to train the Qataris on how to use the planes. It's not like the Qataris are opening up their military base here in the U.S. and are going to conduct military exercises. It's really train them on the planes. Now, the whole deal itself is very shifty to begin with, but I think the headline was quite alarmist and misleading for what it actually is.
It did feel that way, but that's why I said I just don't know enough about it. It doesn't.
I think normally the U.S. would just send trainers out to their air bases, right? And we've sold planes all over the world. We go and train them where they are. I'm guessing the Qataris don't have an air base to hold these damn planes that Trump made them buy. That's what I'm guessing.
It's not a big country, and because they hosted the World Cup a few years ago, I have a feeling that it's mostly just stadiums now. I mean, I watched the World Cup. The stadiums were beautiful. I still could not imagine playing the World Cup during the summer in Qatar or in Qatar or whatever we're calling it now. But like, it's 120 degrees and these are open air stadiums. But I think you're right. I think that
that's a different subject. Soccer. I don't get it. World Cup. I'm seeing people going crazy, riots in the crowds, and I couldn't be more bored by a sport other than possibly baseball. But I got to admit, I think baseball has more variety in it. More weird things can happen, and I'll put the Phillies loss as Exhibit A. You saw that final play of theirs?
Yeah.
That total the pitcher just completely froze on a simple ground ball to him and let the winning run score in overtime. But soccer, it's just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I was like, oh, it's 2-0, after 10 hours of play. And I was like, come on.
There is some soccer that I do enjoy.
I'm going to get hate for that.
Yeah, probably. But I do enjoy some soccer. I like, as long as it's cut in with some of the drama and whatnot that goes on. If you ever watch Welcome to Wrexham on FX, I think that is a fantastic program. And it's not just the soccer, but it's also the story about the players and the fans and the town of, or the city or town or village of Wrexham in Wales. That is, it's a very intriguing story, and I think that between
is it fiction or is it like a reality TV
no,
show?
it's completely reality. Basically, Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds bought Wrexham AF, UC, whatever. One of those letters at the end that indicates that it's football over soccer or whatever. But I enjoy it. I think that it's a very genuine program, and sometimes even the stories that they tell during the program, it'll tear you up if you're paying attention.
Okay.
But it's enjoyable. But aside from that, I don't disagree. Soccer is not an easy thing for me just to sit down and watch 90 minutes plus however much time someone has been injured. You know, the refs getting to make the decision, the clock runs constantly, and it does get to be a little slow sometimes. It's not full of all of the excitement that there is with like football. So I attribute basketball, and I'm going to get hate for this. Basketball and soccer are sort of that same level of excitement for me. I can go to a basketball game and really enjoy it, but if I'm just watching it on television, I do tend to have a difficult time trying to.
I think basketball is most enjoyable in the final minute of the game, of a close game, and it's the playoffs, right? That to me, I will watch and not blink, because it can get very, very intense. But all that time and all that season leading up to it, yeah. Sometimes there's just too many games, and that's why I like the NFL so much, because there's like only 17 games and then the playoffs, and that's it.
Do you want to comment on the fact that Donald Trump today told Fox's Peter Doocy on Air Force One that he doesn't think that he is going to heaven at this point?
Was that today?
That was today. Yeah.
Oh.
That was today. That was after the time I guess this was on the way back from it was either on the way to Israel or the way back from the Middle East. But yeah, apparently conversation with Peter Doocy. Yeah, he told Peter Doocy that he does not think that he is going to heaven. Is Donald Trump a dead man walking? Because I can only.
Well, we are all dead men walking, so I don't even understand that phrase.
Okay, so is he
hellbound walking? And maybe that's what you meant to say.
Is he on his way to a permanent sleep sooner than later?
Oh, is he facing the Grim Reaper? Is he waiting for his dirt nap? Yeah, I get you. Okay, yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah, I don't know. You know my opinion. He's going to live to be forever. And he's the one blessed guy to annoy us till the end of time.
They did finally come out with the doctor's report on Trump. Of course, it said that he was in extremely good health. That apparently this was a follow-up visit to his yearly visit, but this time they ran a lot of tests, CT scans, PT. You know, they ran basically everything you could potentially.
I don't know, for a guy who's on death's door and he's still flying to Israel and giving speeches to their parliament. Again, I'm done speculating on his health and well-being, because apparently he still can do everything.
I was gonna say, if you want, I can pull back up the tweet or truth or whatever he calls it from Sunday morning, where he claims that Biden's FBI was sent to basically instigate the riot.
But I don't care. I mean, again, 15 years ago, he was tweeting dumb stuff then too, about people who he thought was alive doing a great job who died 50 years ago. So I mean, this is nothing new.
But in the last month, we've had him claim that he warned people about Osama bin Laden a year before the towers were hit by 2 planes. He claimed that that was
he claimed 30 years ago that he was there on September 12th helping clean up. Like he was there shoveling, right? And there was no evidence he was ever there.
He claimed that
BS.
He claimed that he saw from the roof of one of his buildings that
right.
There were.
I grew up in New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
Donald Trump was known for failed casinos. That's who he was. He was a womanizing, reneging on contracts. You know, he was notoriously known for getting people to do work and then claiming some reason not to pay them. That was his reputation in Jersey. And he's living up to that reputation as president. He claims all of these victories. Like, we got to talk about this Middle East deal, right? That everybody wants to give him credit for. And you know, you want to give credit to somebody if they've actually done something, but I can't find what he's actually done to move the needle. Now, he's been in office for 10 months now, right? And he said he was going to solve it day one, but he's been in office 10 months. I think he just sat on his hands, waited for the last Palestinian to get killed, and then he swoops in, demands Netanyahu gives him credit. They work out some other deal, and then he gets credit that I think is undeserved. But you got to prove to me, show me, what is it that he did that led to where we are today that just wasn't just a natural outcome of one country committing genocide on another?
I mean, nothing. Honestly, I felt like when the
and don't be saying that we have TDS. I'm asking somebody, provide that argument. What is it that he did?
Yeah, no, I'll be completely honest with you. When it was first announced that the Palestinians or the Hamas, I guess, that when Hamas and Israel had reached a deal that was going to free the remaining Israeli hostages, the 20 remaining, as well as Israel releasing what they called prisoners of war to Hamas or to Palestine. I didn't initially hear anything about it having to do with Donald Trump. Like nothing about what was being said felt like you could attribute it to anything that Donald Trump had done. But I think because he and Netanyahu are, so close, or are they even close? I think that they're just similar.
Are. I mean, they just fall in line with each other. I mean, don't forget, he pressured Netanyahu not to accept anything from Biden.
Right. Correct.
It's like, hold off, don't do anything. Yep. Then when I'm president, we can work out some stuff. So he prolonged the pressure that could have been applied. He was actively working against the active president at the time to achieve any type of deal, and none. Yeah. So I don't know what he did other than just wait the clock long enough for something that was inevitably going to happen.
That is exactly what it felt like. It felt like that it was just an opportunity so that Trump could potentially have some reason for the Nobel laureates to potentially look at him next year.
When Israel killed those the world kitchen chefs, that were out there serving food, when they bombed them into obliteration, he said nothing. When Israel went and shot their own hostages, remember that?
Yep.
They actually found the hostages and shot them to death by accident.
Right.
But that's just what they were. They were just fire first and figure things out later. They were into indiscriminate bombing of hospitals and everything else. And Trump said nothing. So what did he do?
Yeah.
It's disappointing.
Yeah, it's constant. I had a conversation with my father-in-law recently about Donald Trump, and ultimately we were celebrating my twins' birthdays last week, and he waits for the perfect.
You find a way to celebrate that's kind of odd.
Yeah. Okay. Well, they turned 11. They don't get to turn 11 every day.
Yeah.
But he, after we had done with the cake and the food and the girls had opened their presents and things like that, he asked a question about, how do you feel about Donald Trump and this peace accord thing? And I said,
that's a weird thing to ask a pair of 11-year-olds.
Well, they had left the room.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought they were still opening presents while he's peppering them with questions from Fox News.
Yeah. And ultimately I said, I think everything for Donald Trump is a distraction away from what the issue is here in the United States. And the issue here in the United States is, number one, sadly, which it shouldn't be, but it is still the Epstein files. And two, the inflation that we're all suffering from, gasoline or gas, groceries, mortgage rates, things like that. Like the actual things that are affecting people every day are not getting the attention of Donald Trump and his administration and the Republicans in Congress. And he said, well, what do you mean the Epstein files? They already released that. And I said, no. there have been pieces of the Epstein files that have been released, but ultimately, no, we don't have the grand jury testimony from the witnesses and the victims and things like that. That has not been released. And he asked me, he said, well, why would I think that it's been released if it hasn't? I said, well, it just depends on where you're getting your information from. Because if you do watch places, Newsmax, OAN, Fox News, you will be given the impression that this is just a waste of time, because what is going to be released has nothing to do with what Donald Trump may have been involved with Jeffrey Epstein, because we already know Jeffrey Epstein had Donald Trump on the flights. Because he's on the flight log. And, we asked that question last week. What are some celebrities that would potentially disappoint us if we saw them on the logs, or if we saw them in the evidence or the grand jury testimony?
Zach King was top of the list.
I don't know that I'd be disappointed. Sorry, Zach. Yeah.
Not surprised, but you would be disappointed.
Yeah, I would be a little disappointed. But the conversation then degraded. And I said, and I finally got to say something to him that I have wanted to say to Trump supporters. That is basically my biggest disappointment in this entire thing is the fact that, hypothetically, if Donald Trump is in the Epstein files, if he created victims out of these young women, that not you, but this group that continues to support him, you would support him as being president over anyone else, that you are so ready to see Bill Clinton's name in the list. You're so ready to see, you mentioned Jimmy Carter, but Bill Gates and Stephen Hawking's and things like that. You're so willing and ready to accept that these people did something wrong. But if Donald Trump's name in there, you're perfectly fine with that. And his exact statement back to me was, well, if not Donald Trump as president, then who? And I was floored. The fact that you can still sit there and smile and be okay with Donald Trump being listed as the antagonist against these women, these girls, these women now, and be okay with Donald Trump being involved in anything like that. And your only statement back is, well, if Donald Trump's not going to be president, then who would be? And I don't understand that mentality. Like, if Bill Clinton's in there and he created victims, 100% convict or have a trial. If any other people are listed.
Listen, I'm going to talk you down from the ledge. You're covering material you've covered a million times before.
I know.
And we know it. It's tough to get out of that circle. I know what that's like.
I just don't get it.
And this is the man that raised the woman you decided to propose to. Right? So
yeah, that's correct.
That is something that will fry your brain to try to tie all that together.
Fortunately.
And I think it comes down to just a personality trait that says you can't be wrong. And I will stick by my opinion no matter what evidence may come. And the brain will just twist itself into a knot over it.
Well, I will segue to the left just a little bit on this. But prisoners in jail with Ghislaine Maxwell have apparently been told that if they discuss anything about Epstein with her in jail or in prison, that there will be retribution. They will be punished for any conversations with her about Epstein, because there is a fear that if she discusses anything about Epstein with other prisoners, that information will leak out, and that our justice system, our Department of Justice, is protecting every single piece of the potential trail, including Ghislaine Maxwell in prison.
Wasn't there a somewhat famous convicted pedophile who belonged to some sort of band who was stabbed in jail a couple of days ago?
Maybe.
You didn't catch that news?
I think I missed that one.
He seemed like he was a 30, 40-something-year-old rocker. And I didn't recognize the name or the band because I'm an ancient old man. But apparently he was stabbed, and the world is rejoicing, at least according to my Facebook feed.
I feel like I'm again, I never want to see someone harmed or
Come on,
whatever.
you got the Google in front of you. Go
Yeah, that's
Google.
true.
Famous rocker stabbed, and you should get a news article pop up just from yesterday, if not the day before.
Here's okay, there we go. I was gonna say, here's the issue is that as I try and pull up my Google, my mouse gets stuck on my iPad, which is infuriating to me. Let's see. Former rocker in jail.
Stabbed.
Yeah,
just do that and see what you get.
Let's see. Ian Watkins, disgraced frontman of the Welsh rock band Lost Prophets, maybe.
That's it.
It was he was fatally stabbed on Saturday, October 11th, at the HMP Wakefield, which I guess is a high security, maximum security prison in northern England, where he was serving 29-year sentence for a string of child sex offenses, including trying to. Oh,
yeah, we don't need to go through it. We'll let the imagination fill in the rest. But yeah, that's what should be happening in that other prison with that other person, you were talking about, Ms. Maxwell.
I'm
not a fan of the death penalty, but I'm not in favor of just justice working itself out through fate.
I don't disagree. I agree. I have zero issue with the community that these and respect to other prisoners in jail that took it upon themselves to.
Let's not go that far. You're now issuing like the respect hand gesture over there. I'm one of you. I know. See, I got my tats.
But ultimately, that's one of the things you hear about in prisons is that inmates have zero tolerance for people that are either abuse women or children.
Or snitches. I think that's the other. Is like
the other. Well, the snitches are okay. They just get stitches. But it's so while again, I am not someone that's in favor of the death penalty, because how can you be pro-life and then in favor of the death penalty or capital punishment? Like that just doesn't. Those two things don't go together.
How can you be the man that raised your bride and yet not care if your president was a convicted sex offender?
You're right.
These are the mysteries of the universe that we've created a podcast to ponder.
We would have to have her therapist on in order to discuss that. I think that would.
I take it your wife doesn't join in on these conversations.
She doesn't. They give her an incredible amount of anxiety, and I try to avoid them desperately. I try to avoid these conversations desperately. It doesn't work out. So, Bill, another fantastic show.
I agree.
I was going to say silence.
I agree. Yeah.
He's over
no debate.
Judging me, people.
I don't argue everything.
I don't have anything else in my notes for tonight. So I think
thank God.
I'll just say the thing about Ghislaine Maxwell and the prisons, that came from the Wall Street Journal. So
of course, they were about to sue you if you didn't give them the proper credit.
Make sure to give them credit for that. Well, we'll just wrap it up. Big thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, you can follow me at Barrett Gruber and Bill at Political Bill SC. You can catch us here Monday nights and Wednesday nights, 9:15 to.
God, we got to do this again Wednesday night.
We do, and just imagine everything that will happen between now and then, right? I mean,
yeah, too much happens.
King's protest or no King's protest this weekend, Saturday, October the 18th. You can just Google it, because I imagine it's happening somewhere near you. I will be at the one in Columbia. Is there one taking place in Greenwood this weekend?
No, the organizers decided to do it the weekend after.
Oh, okay.
So they wanted to go to Columbia, and so they've scheduled a Greenwood only version on the 25th.
Well, still respect for the fact that they're going to hold one even a week later, but to join in, respect. Like I said, that hand doesn't go anywhere else. Until next time, everybody, you all stay safe, be kind. Remember this, that we are merely 13 days away from where Back to the Future Part 2 sent Marty McFly into the future. We are 13 days away from that being 10 years ago. So just ponder on that. That's where we're at. Stay safe, be kind, keep your hands to yourself. And I can't get to the stop button because my mouse is over